Hey everyone, in today's video I just wanted to show you these knobs that I've made out of raw material for this Marantz 2230. So this is something that I'm not sure a lot of people have talked about, but I just want to point out the absolutely beautiful simplicity of the Marantz receiver. Everything you see on the front here is about as simple as it gets, yet it looks amazing. If you look at the other receiver brands like Pioneer, they've got like little features into here. They've got bends in the aluminum, they've got glass. If your faceplate goes bad on a Pioneer, there's not much you can do except look for another one. But Marantz, all this is a piece of aluminum that's got some holes cut in it, and then it's got some text put on it, and then you just screw it on. It's so simple. It doesn't take much, relatively, to make one of these as a reproduction. And the same goes for these knobs. Like Pioneer knobs, they've got like little ridges and stuff inside of the knobs. Marantz, it's literally just a piece of turned aluminum. So what I've got right here is an original Marantz knob. This is off of my 2215B. Later Marantz models had these little notches in the face here, and earlier ones had no notches. Kind of like this. Adding this little notch here makes it a little bit harder to make yourself, but it's not too bad. But, like I said, it doesn't take much to make this at all. So let's take some measurements here. The diameter of this knob is basically 940 thousandths, or 0.94 inches. So you can just take 1 inch aluminum stock and turn it down to 940 thousandths, this is another one that I have right here, and I'll just show you. This was turned down to about 940. Didn't get this one perfect, but the human eye is not going to be able to notice. Then you've got a length right here. The length of this little cylinder is about 0.72. So you can take your other one, just your stock piece of aluminum, and turn it to 0.72-ish. I think I went for 725 nominal on this. So once you've got your correct diameter and you've, terminated at the correct length here, then you need to drill a hole. Now here's where it gets different, because as you can see, the stock knob is actually just a very thin piece of aluminum that goes over an injected molded piece of plastic that works with the splined shaft on these knobs here. So it can just kind of slide on very easily, and it's good for production to do it that way. Very simple. But we don't exactly have that luxury here unless we have a 3D printer, which I don't. So what you can do is you can measure your shaft diameter and take a drill bit that's just a little tiny bit bigger and drill a hole back here with your lathe. So then after you've done that, you've got your hole, you've got your diameter, and you've got your length. Put a little tiny chamfer right here on this edge with your lathe. Next thing you do is you take a 32nd of an inch end mill and you make some passes with a mill. I think I went to 15 thousandths deep, and then after that you turn it 180 degrees and you drill a 440 tapping hole. So whatever size bit you use to get a 440 thread, drill it with that, and you drill it up to this diameter right here. Then you tap the hole. You deburr your little pass with the end mill here. You take a Sharpie, literally just take a Sharpie, and color this in. And then you go back to your lathe, and you take some Scotch-Brite, let it spin, kind of polish it up real nice, and that's it. You've got yourself a knob right here. One little detail thing you can do, and I have not done it here, as you see, I've got my little set screw showing right here. Maybe you can see that. For your volume knob, since the volume knob is always turned down and your others are always turned basically straight up, add your set screw 90 degrees instead of 180. So if you just saw my other video where I replaced the volume knob, I had to use a slightly different shaft style on here. This is drilled a little too small, so I'll have to make this a little tiny bit bigger. So in conclusion, you start with 1 inch aluminum tube stock, turn that down to about 0.94 inches. Your length of your piece is going to be about 725 thousandths, so 0.725, and then you drill it to the shaft diameter of this thing. You drill it a certain amount. Then you go to your mill, You add your slit with your 32nd of an inch end mill. Make a few passes so you can get to 15 thousandths of an inch deep, and then after that, flip it over 180 degrees, drill your 440 tapping hole, tap the hole, deburr your little slit, color it in with Sharpie, go back to your lathe, clean it up with Scotch-Brite, and you've got yourself a knob. However, I just mentioned between, $5,000 and $50,000 worth of machines. So if you don't have that, what you can do is you can go to vintagehifiaudio.com and buy replicas from them. And these are a little bit better than what I've done because, they have access to a more precise machining process. They're much more solid aluminum, and they have the plastic insert right here. And these are 20 bucks each. So if that doesn't work for you, if you don't have the same luxuries, just buy a reproduction one from vintagehifiaudio.com. You'll never know the difference. So real quick, I'll just give you a nice close-up of these things. I went the set screw route instead of trying to buy like a 3D printer and 3D print like an insert so I can work with the spline threads. I thought that was a good option. So like I'll turn the base knob right here. There's my set screw. That's a 440 thread set screw, and it holds on to it just fine. You can definitely tell right here with the selector knob that it holds on just fine because this is probably the hardest one to turn, and the set screw is doing an excellent job holding onto the spline threads. And then in terms of depth, that's one dimension I did not mention when I was talking about how to make these. Pick a depth that's a little bit more than you need, and then you can fine tune these when you put them on the receiver, and make sure you've got that proper distance from your faceplate, and it looks, just like stock. So that is it for this video. Thank you so much for watching. I'll put a little hand sketch of this part at the end of this video and just leave it up there for a few seconds so you can reference it if you're looking to do this yourself. And if you have any questions, let me know. Okay, I'll see you in the next one.